George Washington?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
He never told a lie. He ran around the corner and he stole a cherry.
Really? But he stole. That's a lie. Yes. The home. Penn. He lived in Penn, right? Pennsylvania. Tell me, you know who George Washington is?
No, we know. Yes, we know.
Oh, okay. For those of you who don't, just keep quiet. I was the girl in the class who nodded when everyone else was nodding. Right? You just hope the teacher didn't call on you, because look, I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so before 1971, his birthday is February 22nd, okay? And it was celebrated on a different day every year, like most birthdays. Whenever they come out, that's when it's celebrated. However, in 1968, the U.S. Congress passed a bill that they wanted to organize a consecutive set of federal holidays, okay? So they moved 3 different holidays, like Columbus Day and some other holidays, okay? Days of commemoration, to Mondays of that particular month, the Mondays of that corresponding month. And they moved George Washington's February 22nd fixed birthday, right, that they had a day off, vacation day for everyone, to the 3rd Monday in February. Let me ask you a question, ladies. Why would they do that? February 22nd?
The 12th.
No, they moved it to the 3rd Monday. To the 3rd Monday in February. From now on, George Washington's birthday, George Washington Day, is the 3rd Monday in February, not February 22nd. Why?
It's convenient.
Convenient? Why?
Oh, because
You're
it's
not-
Like a weekend or something.
Thank you. Yes, long weekend. Say that with confidence.
No, it's Black History Month, February.
Okay, no, but they moved the other holidays also to Mondays. Why did they decide to move all of these holidays to Mondays? You move it to Monday, then you get a long weekend. Isn't that fun? So instead of celebrating it on that particular day, let's make all the holidays fall out on Monday. Have you noticed the holidays all come out on Mondays? It's really considerate of the government. Thank you, government. However, that's actually the exact opposite of what Judaism believes days of commemoration and holidays are, right? When we are celebrating Rosh Hashanah, which is coming up in about 3 weeks, when we are celebrating Passover, which is in Nisan, when we are celebrating these holidays, it's more than just what happened again, something about they didn't have time to cook that bread. That's what we're buying. It's called poor man's bread. It's actually really expensive, right? But that's why we're eating this thing called matzah again, Rosh Hashanah, something about apple and honey for a sweet year, right? We're not just commemorating the fact, oh, right, it's a day of judgment. Let me wear white clothes so God will think I'm an angel, right? It's more than just that. It's more than just that. How do you say time in Hebrew? Sha'ah, that means time also. Zman. Zman is one of the words for time. Zman also means prepared. Each moment in time, this is a class on the holidays, but we're talking about time all around, every day, every moment, every hour, okay? Time, Zman, is uniquely prepared for every single one of us. For what? We'll get there. Zman also comes from the word, how do you say invitation? Just read the board, then you'll get the answer. Thank you. Hazmana, right? A hazmana means an invitation. Zman is also hazmana. Why? Because every moment in time is an invitation for us, for ourselves, to grab onto something. We are not Rosh Hashanah chaval for us if we just let these days go by and we're just saying, oh, right, what happened again? What? Oh, I can't use my phone. Let me ask all of you, what do these holidays mean to you? Be real. I'm asking real, not like the right answer. What?
A day of remembrance.
A day of remembrance? Is that how you feel when you're doing Shabbat or these holidays?
Yeah, like you remember your appreciation. Like you remember what Hashem did for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rosh Hashanah, New Year, He's giving you a new slate. He's giving you a second chance, right?
That's already even going deep. Yeah, we like that. It's
Continue or?
no, we like that. What else? What?
Tradition. I guess is to get together with family.
Time to get together with family, which it is. It's a super important time for the holidays of just family time, and Shabbat every week is like the best invention everywhere, ever. Right, it's family time. What else? What do you say?
Traditions.
Traditions. It is a really special time for traditions. I watched this documentary, which when you get to your sod, if you're in your sod, I bring it. And it's a documentary of like, how do we know the Exodus ever happened? Anyways, they interviewed this one Israeli professor who's a historian also, and in it he says, I don't believe Exodus ever happened. Maybe there are parts to it that happened, but it never really took place. You don't see it in the ground. There's no evidence for it. There is, but there's no evidence for it, okay? And he speaks about it. And so the person interviewing him says, can I ask you a question? Do you celebrate Passover with your children? And he looked at him like all Israelis look at you when you ask them an absurd question. Like, Betach, like of course I celebrate Passover with my family. And they said, so why? And he said, well, I don't mix my work with my home, meaning Passover, these holidays, like Danielle said, right? It's a time of family time, and it's tradition. This is our story. Whether or not the story is true is a different problem, right? But it's a time of tradition. This is what we're used to. What else? Rachel, you were just saying something? Anyone else? Oro?
It's a time to remember how when the Jewish people are in a time of need, right?
When the Jewish people what?
In a time of need.
Yeah.
Like for example, Passover, we're celebrating our exit of Egypt, right? Hashem saved us, he said Moshe Rabbeinu and all that great stuff. And remembering that he's there for us. And when we work together, we make great things happen. So like for example, the splitting of the sea, he doesn't do open miracles like that just for the heck of it. You know, he has to change nature. He has to unmask himself and show people his greatness. And he has to show us that when we work together and we do the right things, he is there for us.
Don't you think we should all clap? Wasn't that like, you just had such a passion when you were saying that. That was so meaningful. Yeah, he is. God's like, I got so emotional when you were saying that, right? Like, God's there for us. Tapping into the holidays. What is this holiday telling us? You're speaking about Passover, splitting of the seas. We're going to get to the holidays, God willing, right? In this class, we're just speaking about, first, how do we approach it? Thank you, that was super powerful. In Kohelet, it says, L'kol yesh zman ve'et l'kol chefetz, which means everything has its season. There's a time for everything. L'kol yesh zman ve'et l'kol chefetz, right? Everything has its time. Every season has its time, right? And it says in Pirkei Avos, Ein lecha davar she'ein lo makom. There's nothing that does not have a particular place. There's no person that doesn't have their time. Time is more than the mere passing of the clocks. The holidays are more than a mere passing of the clocks. And if we understand together what we're talking about today, if we understand how to approach time, it will be a different life. It was just my birthday the other day, as you know, and people wrote really nice letters. Thank you. Thank you. And I was sitting there and I was trying to do cheshbon hanefesh, which on your birthday you're supposed to do, like, just basically write and like figure out like what have I done, and I'm not going to tell you my age, but I was thinking, and it was so powerful and empowering at the same time. On one hand, I'm getting older, and so I did have this like kind of this feeling inside of me of like, really, like where did those 10 years just go, right? But on the other hand, I felt I don't want to be those people that are embarrassed of their age. And as they get older, each year, I know people who do not celebrate their birthday, right? They don't. So why? Yeah, well, I know why. I don't know. Maybe they never got a present. I don't want to be someone who never celebrates their birthday. Why? Because what's this year going to bring, right? And it was humbling for me to write, okay, well, what have I accomplished? Okay, now what more do I need to do? Okay, right? And how do we actualize time? Time is more than the rotations of the universes and the planets and all these orbits and the sun and the moon. It's more than just that. So try and understand what it is. Any ideas? How would you define time?
Time is something that you can't take back.
Time is something you'll never get back. It's true.
So in the Torah it says you're not allowed to waste time. Why? When God gave you a time, like a specific time on earth in order to fulfill a mission, to fulfill your journey, right? And if you're wasting time being on your phone, like this generation, they have this concept of being on the phone it's more important than going outside and learning new things, right?
Right, we're catching Pokemon, yeah.
That's
It's also important. I'm not hating on Pokemon.
But the concept of time, it's seen differently in this generation, right? We don't see it as an important thing. We see it as something that can be tangible.
Right.
That we can control, but you can't control time.
Right, I want to hear this great line, which is, they always say, I wonder what the world is going to be like when we have a what's it called? A time machine. When we have a time machine, we could just like go to the future, like Back to the Future, right? Like I wonder what the world's going to be like. And it's like, we do. It's called Facebook, right? Like you go on your computer and it's like 11 o'clock at night and I'm just going to check if I got any new messages. All of a sudden it's 4 o'clock in the morning, right? It's like the time machine already exists. It's called like Facebook, internet, and YouTube videos, right? Okay, what else? How do we view time? What's our perception of it? What's our understanding of it? Something we can't get back, right? That's a true thing, which is true. That's why it's forbidden to wake someone up from sleep. Right? It's called gezel shena, stealing their sleep. It's a big thing. Why? Because you can never give them that time back, ever. They may be able to fall asleep again, but that's new time already. Says Rav Dessler, he says, we tend to look at time as linear. So, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Simchas, Torah, Chanukah, Tu B'Shvat, Purim, Paysach, Lag BaOmer, Shavuot, and those are all the holidays. And now let's start again, right? Now let's start the holidays again. Time isn't linear. Time isn't a straight line that as we go through it, we kind of just pass it, commemorate it, and then on to the next, now let's start again. What is time instead of not a straight line? If it's not a straight line, then what is it? A circle or a cycle, like a cyclical, which is kind of, a circle would almost be like we're almost doing the same thing, just a different shape, right? We're constantly traveling through it, right? We're constantly moving through it, and it moves through us. Isn't that weird? Time is potential. Give me examples. How could time be potential?
Like you can do so much with it because anything that you want to do or achieve in this life requires time. So time is it's the potential. You can do really anything with it. It's the very first thing that you need.
Right. We tend to look at it as it's something finite. Is that what you were saying?
Sure.
No, it's not. Say it again. What you were just saying.
No, it's okay.
No, I really want to hear.
No, I didn't make sense.
I think it did. I want to hear.
I was just saying, time is potential because anything that you want to do requires time. So if you have time, you have potential to really do anything with it.
Yes, exactly. We have that's what it means that it's potential. But we tend to think as time as though it's finite. But actually, exactly what you said is exactly what we were answering. What does that mean? It's elastic. It's elastic. Whatever we put into it, that's what you get out. I remember my husband about 2 months ago, he went to a funeral. And like all funerals, you come back and you're very introspective and a bit curious, right? But he went to a funeral and 5 people spoke there. And we're speaking about it afterwards, because I wasn't there. And he was telling me what they were saying. And a special woman, but he said all 5 people who spoke about this special woman all mentioned her and her relationship with food. We love food. We need food, right? Food's great, right? But the main topic, usually you find a common theme, right? When people speak at funerals or weddings or any big event, right? And someone even said, I can't believe I'll never be able to hear you say, that was so good, right? And that makes you think of, I wonder what they're going to say, right? I wonder what they're going to say by me, right? No one usually has the words best CEO, right, written on their tombstone, right? So what's going to be written about me? And it doesn't just happen. I can tell you personally, this couple I'm very close with, they're divorced, and they're both well into their 80s. The grandfather, he he's in an old age home, and you basically have to almost bribe the grandkids into going to visit him in the old age home. Could be, you all know people like that. It could be your grandparents or your fathers like that. I hope not, right? They have to almost like bribe them into going to visit him. And you have this grandmother who lives somewhere else, and there's literally almost like a lineup outside her door for going to visit. Why do you think that is? They're both married. They both have the same kids. They both have to share the same grandkids. The relationship to others, right? It doesn't just pass. But unless you actively do something, unless you actively change time, like we said, it's not limited. It's actually infinite time, depending on what we put into it. It's just a vessel. It's an elastic vessel. Time is potential, which is also, if you remember, we spoke about Rosh Chodesh. I don't remember if we did. Did we speak about Rosh Chodesh? Yeah? Okay, great. So then you'll know what I'm talking about. We spoke about Rosh Chodesh. How is Rosh Chodesh calculated? We know on the Jewish calendar, we count according to the lunar. We go according to the moon, right? Not the sun. How is Rosh Chodesh calculated? You guys got yourself in trouble. You said we spoke about it. I won't do it too. What?
There were people on a mountain.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. There were people on a mountain, right? How is that is part of it. How's Rosh Chodesh calculated? You had witnesses coming to the Beit HaMikdash, coming to the temple, right? It would be either the 29th or the 30th day, because each month is 29.5 days, okay? Too fast. Who had the job? Sima, was your job? No, we're doing good? Okay. So you had witnesses coming to the temple, coming to the Beit HaMikdash, coming to the Sanhedrin, coming to the people there, and saying, we saw the moon, right? We saw the moon. And you have these two witnesses, and they'd be put in these separate places, different rooms, and they would say to them, okay, so where exactly did you see it? And what position was it in? And what color, what direction, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know, I wasn't there. But they'd ask them all these specific questions. Nowadays, we have a fixed calendar, so we know when it was. So we know when it is. Right? We just had Rosh Chodesh Elul 12 days, like 10 days ago, right? So now we know when it is, but then they didn't. And if both of them gave the exact same account, if both of them gave the exact same story and narrative of where they saw the moon, then they say today is Rosh Chodesh. But what would happen if they didn't give the same story? What would happen if only one person showed up? Was there Rosh Chodesh yet? What would happen if it was cloudy and they didn't see a moon in the sky, or was too foggy? There's no Rosh Chodesh yet. What did God give us when he gave us to count Rosh Chodesh? It was the first commandment we were giving when we left Egypt. Right, actually, it was while we were leaving Egypt. God gave us the commandment of Rosh Chodesh. What was the commandment God gave us? A woman's holiday. It's unique for women, yes. We'll get there when we speak about Rosh Chodesh. We'll get there. I just want to stay on this. We'll get there. Based on what we were just saying, that the people are the ones who determine when Rosh Chodesh is, and if they can't see the moon, or if they give different accounts, then it's not Rosh Chodesh. What was God commanding us?
Like giving us the ability to control time.
Yes. Thank you. Bada bing. God was giving us the commandment to live from passivity to proactivity. That's what God was giving us on when he gave us the commandment of Rosh Chodesh, which is the commandment of time. Till now, we were slaves in Egypt for 210 years. We're together? Till now, we were slaves for 210 years in Egypt. And then we got out. But before we speak about getting out, what does it mean to be a slave? If you've been in my office, you know it's on the wall. I didn't even look at you. What's your name? You look familiar. I didn't even know your name. Let me ask you, what does it mean to be a slave? Doesn't necessarily even mean a slave. We're all slaves to something. There's a reason we have Passover every single year. We said it's not linear, right? We're moving through it. What does it mean to be a slave?
We're being controlled by someone.
We're being controlled by someone. It's exactly what's on the hello. What else does it mean to be a slave? So being a slave, it said when we don't have...
You don't have freedom, you don't have control of yourself.
We don't have freedom. I don't have control over myself. The Talmud tells us what a slave owns, the owner owns. I don't have any self-identity. Then the first commandment when coming out of Egypt, God is saying, and hachodesh hazeh gelechem rosh chadashim. And this month should be for you the first of the months. Why? You're no longer a slave. You're no longer a slave. You have the ability, you have the potential to actualize time. You have the capabilities now to be proactive and take time and use it for whatever it is that you want. And we choose whatever it is that we want. We can sit on the couch watching TV, and sometimes that's the right thing to do. Why? I just need to chill out. I just need to relax. I need to turn my brain off. And the only thing that turns my brain off is watching some TV show or watching a movie. And that's okay. But if our whole life is like that, so we are choosing, right? We live in a very blame-oriented society, and I'm a victim, and it's not me, but we're choosing how to spend our time. Each month, specifically, and each holiday has its own unique energy to that month. Just like we go through the years and it's a different year. How do you say year in Hebrew? Shana. It's the same word for Rosh Hashanah is the head of the year. And it's also, what does shinoi mean? Shinoi? Change, thank you. Shinoi is change. Why? Every single year we have the chance, we have the opportunity for change. Rosh Chodesh. Rosh means head, right? Chodesh means month. What else? What does Chadash mean? New, right? Every month we have the opportunity for renewal. That's what Rosh Chodesh is. That's the changing of the moon. So we're here to actualize time. We're here to actualize the holidays. When we speak about Passover, the Talmud tells us, every person must see themselves as though they personally left Egypt. I've never been in Egypt. Thank God I've never been through the Holocaust. What does that mean? Any ideas? No, but it says I have to feel every Passover when we're sitting there at the table. I have to see for myself. I have to feel as though I personally left Egypt.
Because your neshama's been there.
Neshama, all right, deep. Our soul's been there, yeah.
You have like your own challenges and stuff that you went through that could be just as hard as being for someone else.
Thank you. Yes, we've all been through our Mitzrayim. We've all been through our Mitzrayim. We've all been through our own Egypt. We've all been through our own hell. And when you sit there at the Passover Seder, we're saying, I had my Yetziat Mitzrayim. When we have Yom Kippur, which means Yom Kapara, Day of Atonement, we're not just commemorating the fact that on Yom Kippur, right, 3,000 years ago, the Jewish nation were forgiven for the sin of the golden calf, right? I need to see myself as though my slate was wiped completely clean. I'm a different person. This rabbi, he always buys his suits at a certain store. And he goes to get a suit. It's right before Rosh Hashanah. And he walks into the store and he sees the owner there with his son. And you feel the tension in the air, right? Seems like a pretty normal story. Right? And you feel the tension in the air. And as he walks in, the store owner knows him and he says to the rabbi, tell my son why he has to go to shul on Rosh Hashanah. Tell him he has to go to shul on Rosh Hashanah, right? And the rabbi's like, okay, do I want a hole in my suit? Or do I want to tell the son to go to shul on Rosh Hashanah? Like the angry store owner, son. And so he turns to the son and he says, why don't you want to go to shul on Rosh Hashanah? Why don't we want to go to shul on Rosh Hashanah? It's inconvenience. It's also very long prayers. Boring. If you don't know what the words mean. Right? So he says, why don't you want to go to shul on Rosh Hashanah? And he said, well, I have a lot of exams coming up, and I'm really busy, and I don't have time, and the prayers are really long, and I don't understand them anyways, right? And the rabbi said, well, what if I tell you that I could get you 2 tickets to the World Series? And he's like, oh, sure. I'm sure I can make time for that. And the rabbi said, so let me explain to you how Rosh Hashanah is like the World Series, right? What's our perspective? How do we view it? Is it just, again, dipping the apple in the honey and gaining a lot of weight because all we do is eat a lot of challah, right? Eat a lot of bread? Is Passover just like tinfoiling your entire home because a speck of bread can't be in our home? Or is it possible that there's something behind these days? There are something behind these days. What lies behind every single holiday? What lies behind every month? stop for a minute. Everyone write down on paper what you think lies behind every single month, what you think lies behind every holiday. Don't go through the holidays. What you're saying, what lies behind every holiday? We're saying it's clearly not. The rabbi said, let me explain to you how this is like the World Series, how Rosh Hashanah is like the World Series. So what do we think lies behind each holiday or each month?
History.
Write it. Okay, well, let's hear.
I did like a few things. I did tradition and history.
Wait, speak a bit louder, what?
I did tradition and history and family and change.
Tradition, history, family, and change. Wonderful. What do you mean by change?
Like you have to try and change yourself from all of this and not just think about you.
Amazing. Yeah.
I wrote in every holiday, there's history and miracles, but most importantly, the Jewish people's victory behind every holiday that we celebrate, the other nations try to kill us, but we won. Like they did not succeed. It's our victory. We were celebrating our victory.
So the fact that we're still here celebrating, is that what we were speaking about with Hanukkah? Remember, right? Hanukkah, we're still here. Yeah, that's a great perspective on it, right? The fact that we're here and celebrating, that's victory over the fact that we weren't killed, right? Victory, change, history, tradition.
History and like relationship with God.
What do you mean by relationship with God?
Because like kind of like let's say something bad was happening, then people would go turn to God and pray. Or like if something good happened, people would like think. Yeah.
So it's a time for connection.
Yeah.
Right? That's what God put in Shabbat, right? It's put into the calendar. It's put into the system, right? The Talmud tells us Torah is good with work, right? It's good when accompanied by work, meaning we're supposed to be in the working world. We're supposed to be functioning members of society. But it's good, right, when it's accompanied with Torah. But God also put into the system Shabbat, a day off every single week. What does that mean, a day off? Shabbos literally means
A sacred covenant.
a sacred covenant.
Yeah, that's okay. So Hashem created Shabbat, right, for a specific nation, which is for the
Yes.
Jewish nation, in order to separate other nations from us. And the sacred covenant allows us to realize the beauty and realize our relationship with Hashem.
I like the words. They sound like fancy words. Sacred covenant.
So the 6 days of the week, right? It says in the Torah, God created it. Why didn't God create it all in one day? Why? He's almighty. He's almighty. He could create it all in one day.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to use these 6 days to show you could work very hard, you could put every speck of detail, but this is only for the work day, right? But Shabbat allows you to connect with Hashem easily in the spiritual sense. Because during Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're busy with work, we're busy with family, we're busy with this, that, and we don't get the time. We don't want to sit down for an hour and learn or realize what our connection to Hashem is.
But one day a week, God is saying, but let's see. That's exactly what that's what we're saying. The word Shabbos literally means shavisa, which means to rest. So me lying there on the couch for 25 hours, is that what it means to rest? For some people, yes, and that's great, right? But it also means shuv, to return, right? A bal tshuva means someone who returned to Judaism, a returnee of Judaism, right? So it also means to return, shuv. So Shabbos, are we shavisa, are we resting from everything? Or are we shuv, are we returning, and what are we returning to? Right? It's both. You need both those aspects of take a break from the physical world in the sense that I'm so involved with it, and we still have plenty of physicality on Shabbat, but I'm using that, I'm not just resting and just sitting on the couch. I'm using that like, what did you say? What's your name again? Ava, is that what, you were the one who said connection, relationship? You said it. Okay. Like Shana says, it's a relationship. It's that connection, right? And you're using it to return, to yourself, because I'm busy the whole week sometimes. I forgot to take a moment for myself and be like, hi, good morning, right? So, and I'm also using it to return to myself and to return to that connection. Yeah. Ava.
Should I say the ones that like other people didn't say?
You should say whatever's on your heart.
Okay. Appreciation, like appreciating that, like I feel like a lot of the holidays, it's like we suffer, and then we like
Wow. It's the story of the Jewish nation. Yeah.
Growth, which I don't know, when I think of like a holiday, there's always like a Torah, like a bunch of Torahs that like go with it, and like you learn through them and you grow through them.
Grow through the holidays. I love it. Yes. Seema.
Oh, I wrote experience.
Experience. The holidays are the experience behind each holiday. What do you mean by that?
Like, the people that were there experienced it, and then we kind of put our personal lives into kind of connecting what happens to us to what happened back then.
We're going to get to that. That's part of the answer, yeah.
I said self-reflection and improvement.
Self-reflection and improvement. Like a time for introspection, looking in. I love it, yeah.
It's a reminder of like the promise and covenant that we got, and then that brings us to self-reflection.
And what?
That brings us to self-reflection and growth, like that growth.
What do you mean by the promise of the covenant?
Like the promise, like when we were given all these holidays and like all of the mitzvahs and things that we got to do there, like there's the big promise that stands behind it. Like God is always with us, and like things that like if we do this, then good things will happen. And so it's like we actually like every Shabbos, every holiday, we go back and we look back at that, and that's like a fresh reminder of like, because I mean every single day went by without like no Shabbos, no holidays. Like we'll forget, but this is like the time to like it like refreshes our memory.
It's almost like the fulfillment of that promise.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Janelle?
I was thinking like it's like just the renewal of ourselves and like an opportunity to be grateful and aware of what we have
That's so nice. And what?
and what we like how far we've come.
Yeah, just that, even just an opportunity for renewal. You know how refreshing that is? The fact that on Yom Kippur, which God willing will speak about, the fact that on Yom Kippur I can stand there and say, God doesn't care about that trash I did last year, 2 years ago, 2 days ago, or today. He doesn't care about that. That's not me anymore. That's what part of what made me me, right? We don't want to say, I'm embarrassed by my past, don't talk about it, right? But that's not me. I don't identify with that anymore. I'm a new person. You know how refreshing, rejuvenating that is? Rachel.
I said learning. It seems like every holiday is something we can learn behind it. It's not just like remembering stuff for the sake of history, but like what can we learn behind that history, like as individuals, as a people, and like a reminder that all these holidays, like the things we're learning from them, they just seem to be in the Torah in general, but it's like a reminder to like this is something you need to learn, like don't forget it.
Man, Jews never get a break, right? Everything's like, what's behind it? What can we learn? Adina.
I just have Jewish history.
Jewish history. So, 2 ideas and we'll stop here. What are we meeting behind each holiday? Every single thing that you all said. Every single thing that you said. Also, we're all saying the same thing, which is each holiday in time happened once, right? We got the Torah one time on Shavuot, right? When the Jews stood on Mount Sinai and received the Torah from God, the written and the oral law. The exodus from Egypt happened one time in the year 2448 from the Jewish calendar. That happened one time. Sukkot, that happened one time. But each of these holidays are stations. They're almost like bus stops. And as the years go by, as the year goes by, we stop off at each station when that holiday comes. And that potential, that energy, that koach, whatever you want to call it, is in that station at that time. So when Shavuos comes and we stop off at the station called Shavuos, I'm stopping off at that station. I have the ability to receive the Torah right now from God. It's not a nice idea. That's what time is. I'm stopping off at that unique station, and God willing will learn what each station is. I'm stopping off at each station, Yom Kippur. What does it mean God just forgave the Jewish nation for worshiping an idol? And I'm stopping off at that station. What does that mean for me if God forgave the Jewish nation for worshiping an idol? And with this we'll finish. When you take, let's say, a map of the world, and you take let's say it's flat, and you take a piece of paper with a little hole in it, and you put it on one place on the map. So you see maybe Mexico, okay, but you don't see anything else. Then you move it up a bit. Is it up or down where it's US and Canada? Up, right? You move it up, okay? Whew, not bad. You move it up. And then you see Canada, but then you don't see Mexico anymore, right? And then each place that you move to, you see that place, but nothing else. But eventually, right, when we take that slip of paper off, with just that little hole, we can see, oh, this is a map. So within our own lives, and this is such a powerful idea, I love it, within our own lives, we're kind of like this paper with a hole, this is me at like 18 years old, right? And this is me at like 24, and this is me at 17. And this is wild and fun, and my friends are doing it, so I should do that too. And I think this is a good idea. And we only see that, right? And we think kind of this moment will like almost never end, or I just don't have to think about the future, right? But when we realize when that paper is taken off, right, i.e. after we die, and each moment, each little place in time was a place in time that I lived through, and I only saw that, then that's the makeup of your life. So how do you get it that some children are there at their grandparents' bed like, Grandma, tell me more stories, and other grandchildren want to have nothing to do with their grandfather? Because each moment, each hole over that map, that's the grandparent was there. The grandparent was there for their kids or whatever example you want to give. And so what we hope to be learning together, which is, what am I doing in all those little dots? What am I doing? What does that mean that Rosh Hashanah is the World Series? What does that even mean for me? So with that being said,
Creating a bigger picture.
create a big picture. On Rosh Hashanah, you're saying?
You said every speck of our lives. We do this.
Yes. Oh, yeah, exactly. So it's creating the bigger picture. Yeah. So any questions what we said today so far? No? All right. Have a good day, everyone.